What's going on, everybody? Today's discussion is about bear traps. Bear traps, bear traps, bear traps everywhere. So what do we got? A couple days back, right? We had Microsoft earnings, which was the 25th of April. And then we had GDP come out Thursday. And today is PCE day, Friday. PCE is just the way of Fed measuring their own instrument of gauging inflation. Okay, think of it that way. It's different calculations, different than CPI data, but it's very important to the Fed that the number be in line with their calculations. So today's PCE index, core PCE, here's where their expectations are. Their estimates are 0.3%. As long as it's 0.3% and below, I think it's probably going to be good for markets. Same thing with core PCE, 4.5% and below. I think it'll be pretty decent for markets. Now, GDP data, when it came out yesterday, was actually not good. You see the estimates here. So you could kind of see the forecast was 2.0%. The actual number that we got was 1.1%. In about 13 minutes, as you can see on my clock, we're about to get that PCE data come in. We'll see how that maps out, and we'll see what kind of impact that brings on the markets. Going back to this post that I had on April 25th, 10:30 a.m., I had spoken about why, in my thought process, the way the market was selling off into these data points. Okay, so we had come into basically Monday, right, with the market already from the previous week looking shaky. And then, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think the market sold off. Right. In fact, here's kind of how the market looked on Sunday and Monday on BTC earlier this week. And then we had a big ramp up in price. This, in my opinion, was a massive short squeeze. And then we had a big drop down and a sell off. Even if you ignore, let's just say this entire piece, right, you're still moving off the lows in the market. And that kind of told me that prior to all these data points hitting, when the market, at least for BTC, was already staying at the lows, chopping about at the lows, that to me created an opportunity of a potential bear trap. And that's what I labeled here, bear trap opportunity, meaning the market into all these data points, GDP, Microsoft, today's PCE, it had already sold off a decent amount, and now it's already sitting elevated. The fact is, elevated and it's just sitting at the highs, especially above a key breakout level. Let me show you guys on a different chart what I mean. This is how I've mapped out the current ranges, right? The fact that we're sitting above 28.5, in my opinion, is a very good thing. Okay. I believe that from here the market has a capability of trading higher. However, it still needs to trade above this high right here, where we have gotten rejected multiple times, which is about 30,500. This is your deviation, big sell off right into the level of this deviation, right? So 30,500 is like the mark for us to head towards and smash above. And then we could talk about 32K and beyond. I wanted to give, give you an idea of where I've seen this kind of movement before. And I've seen it here in 2019. I don't know if y'all were around in 2019, but that run up from $3,500, okay, all the way to 13K was absolutely massive and beautiful. Okay. But in the pockets of, uncertainty and price action and chop, it looks so brutal that there would be no idea for anyone to tell if we were going to nuke the next day, if we're going to go sideways for another 6 months the next day, or if we're going to go up. And I think we're in a similar position now. If you look at the market comparison, again, this is May and June 2019. I believe we're coming into a similar pattern in 2023 here. Almost the same amount of time span, I would say, right? This all started, the ranging started around, 22nd of March. Over here started 15th of May. I kind of broke out of the range, above the range, with a breakout around 17th of June, right? So about a month ish later here, March 22nd. We're about, a month later into April. Here we're sitting above the range high. Now the question is, how can we get back above this high? Right? This is where we had the sharp rejection, like I stated earlier, where we had the price deviation and sell off every time. That is the next big goal for BTC, right? We need to get back above this level. As long as, again, we have the PCE data coming out today, we had a bunch of earnings come out, yesterday, the past few days, right? I think if you pay attention to, the stock market, a decent amount, we had Microsoft earnings come out here in our Discord channel. We talked about Amazon earnings yesterday. The Microsoft earnings were pretty decent. It ripped the price up. You would kind of see, even Meta had pretty decent earnings, right? So if I just showed you guys real quick, okay, let me go to Meta. All right, here's Meta. Okay, there's Meta right there, right? I mean, even in pre-market right now, it's actually trading higher than yesterday, right? So overall, I mean, Meta had pretty decent earnings, to reflect their growth. Amazon, okay, I mean, kind of a little bit lower right now, maybe during the middle of the day today or Monday, maybe it trades higher, but for the most part, like, okay, at least it didn't shit the bed. So earnings are holding up. Microsoft was a big move, right? You kind of see the prior to earnings, Microsoft was down here. Then it squeezed up the next 2 days, almost like 12-15%. I mean, that's a huge move. Apple is also doing decent, right? Again, the reason I'm mentioning these stocks to you guys is because these are the big heavyweight stocks that carry the indices, the S&P 500 index, as well as the NASDAQ index, right? Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Meta, what else did I miss? Google, right? These are like your heavyweights. And when these do well and they're holding up well, your index holds up well, right? So the point is that relating this back to the fractal, as long as the index and these big cap, huge mega tech stocks hold up decently well, I could kind of see this happening to BTC, where we have maybe one more leg in the market like we did in 2019, where you just, make a swift move like BTC did all the way to 13K. And for us, here in the Bitcoin world, that move might be towards these levels up here around 32K. Okay. Or if we dig in a little bit deeper, it could potentially take us to this level around 38 to 39K. This is the pocket of selling where you had a couple of weeks of heavy selling, but really no sort of, retest or chop back in this area. So I think this area is ripe to get filled back in, right? This is what we can call sort of an inefficient area, meaning there's just really one-way directional moves and sellers in the market, or really maybe not a whole lot of buyers stepped up or trapped buyers or whatever. So this area is pretty ripe for exploitation in terms of price action to lead up into there. So all the way up to 38, 39K. That's a bit of a stretch, I know, but I think 32K, I think is attainable. 32K is kind of like a pretty unique area, right? Especially on an SR basis on a weekly, that's a pretty critical level, right? It dates back all the way to multiple candle closings around 2021, 2022, and then rejection right there in May 2022. So 32K is the next big area. And the way I like to look at momentum oscillators, especially things like RSI, is can I see another move into the overbought territory in RSI? Yeah, because RSI on the weekly has not really hit massively overbought. So I think it's possible. I think we can take another big leg into the overbought territory while price reaches that minimum to 32K or maybe as high as 38, 39K. Okay. Now, I want to dial sort of these expectations back just a little bit, because even though I'm bullish and optimistic and I have a long in the market, right? I personally think that the break back inside this level would probably, let's just say, invalidate our idea. At minimum, temporarily, or maybe even completely for a little while. Because if we start breaking back inside this level, then you have something even uglier, which is a head and shoulders that may break down, right? And the breakdown, I would say, probably headed to like 24, 23K, somewhere down here. Okay. I don't think this breakdown is going to be that leisurely where it just says, oh, I'm just going to break to 26, then chop around here and then push on up. I don't think so. I think it may be a little bit more brutal than that. And so what that tells me is watch the market today and this weekend. PCE data as it comes out, watch it very carefully. Watch it over the weekend. Right? This is the one weekend where I will be paying close attention to the market. Usually every other weekend, and to me, crypto is just kind of pointless to watch. But this weekend, it's a pretty important weekend to watch. Today's trading day, very important day to watch, okay? So I'll be watching to see how indices hold up. And again, the market, here's something else I want to show you guys, right? So first, let me switch up charts real quick because I'm very picky with my charts, right? I don't like drawing on charts that are not part of my specific group. So this is my stock chart right here. So I usually only do stock market analysis, and you'll see why. See, I have all my markings and stuff on this chart, okay? So the S&P 500, right? It had broken down, and I'll be honest, I really thought that this thing was going to break down further. It looked like a head and shoulders being created, and it kind of still does, but it looks a little bit more unlikely now, given what I showed you about Microsoft earnings. Amazon earnings were decent. Meta kind of moved up, right? So as long as these big cap, Apple, Google, whatnot, they do well, then S&P 500 could trade higher. It could go back to 4180, maybe as high as 4300, which is where we got rejected back here in August, which would, to me, mean BTC is probably headed higher. I don't see a world where S&P 500 makes a pretty substantial move up here and Bitcoin just stays flat. I do see a world where if S&P 500 chops around here, right, and it looks like it's about to roll over, I think Bitcoin is going to shit the bed much sooner. That's kind of how de-risking works is, higher speculative, higher beta assets like Bitcoin and crypto get sold off first. Okay. So a couple days back, when we had somewhat of a sell-off here in the S&P 500, we had a pretty, accelerated sell-off here in BTC. But this happened after, like a lagging effect. Sometimes the market in Bitcoin and crypto lags. Sometimes it leads, right? It's very hard to say what it's going to do. Today, headed into the PCE data, headed into, post earnings of Microsoft and Amazon and Meta and all that, I think the market is pretty much in line together. I think BTC, S&P 500, equity markets are kind of trading together for the most part. Correlation has been extremely tight between these markets, okay? The other market that I watch closely is gold. Okay, gold is another one that has not really been trading that well. Looks like kind of a local head and shoulders top, not really doing all that hot. You can kind of see, right? Looks probably ready for another breakdown from here. Okay, so we'll see how gold does too. And then at the same time, the other macro factors that we like to pay attention to, the dollar. Even though the dollar has been kind of sitting at these lows, for the most part, dollar at these lows is a little bit, more peculiar, something that you want to be paying attention to. By the way, PCE data should be dropping. Let's check out the volatility on a minute by minute basis. See, there you can see a whole lot of volatility, a whole lot of chop. Let's see how the ES is doing right now. Live look at the price action, right? Let's see who's got the PCE data that we can look into. Is anyone talking about it? PCE data. It's 8:30 a.m., so it should have come out. Let's see here. Core component. The core component expected to stay. This is just it's just an estimate. Let's see. They're all estimates. Let's see if Market Watch has refreshed. Nope, does not populated the PCE data. You can kind of see, here's kind of what the market does, like in these kinds of events. Like there's just a whole lot of volatility that happens up and down, chop. So let me see, nothing here, nothing here. Let's just type in PCE. Okay, 4.2 versus 4.1. Okay, that's year over year. Where's the... God, I cannot read. This is Japanese. Oh, okay, month over month. Actual 0.1, previous 0.3. Right? So okay, so we're good. I think, yeah, the market should be good. Let me check the markets. Okay, ES doing okay. BTC, okay, doing okay. Not too bad. But again, context-wise, right? Like we still have a bunch of levels that we still need to move away from. We need to start climbing. So at minimum, right, I think we need to get back above this level, 29,900. As soon as we could do that, then we can start talking about, higher prices. But until then, just chop city over here. So yeah, for the most part, good data print, nothing bad. As long as the market kind of takes that in stride, I think it'll be a good thing. So anyway, all in all, right now, relating this back to where we are in crypto. Okay, so I do think that, I want to show you guys something from a larger time frame perspective. Okay, on a daily basis, we're still maintaining ETH over 1850. Okay, so, and again, on my Twitter feed, as well as, told members in the Discord about it, I think as long as ETH stays above 1850 on a daily basis, chances are it could trade back up higher. There's a level that I'm kind of looking forward to somewhere up here. If you see, there's this like resistance sort of channel that I'm really paying attention to, which is way the heck up here around 2250. If we can get to that like by middle of May, around 2250, 2300, I think I would say that is our local top. Like this is how I built the channels out, right? This is how it is. Okay, so we're trading above, let's just say the middle band of this channel right here. Okay, sitting above in the upper half. If we make a move higher from here, I don't see any reason why we don't tap the high of this channel somewhere around $2250, $2,300. Okay, BTC kind of similar, right? I think it's as long as we stay sort of above. So I have this level right here. This level, as you can see, is 2021 yearly open. I think if we could stay above that, that's 29K. I don't know. I think it's possible that we trade back to, 29, 9, 30, maybe even higher. Here you could kind of see a little bit of volatility taking place, right? So there's just a lot happening right now, especially because of probably this, PCE data that's coming about. But for the most part, like I would like for price to stay elevated and, continuously try to stay above key levels of SR. If it starts breaking down too heavily, then again, like I said, right, kind of our thesis may get invalidated. Ideally, we need to stay above, 20, 28 and a half. Okay. So that's kind of where I am right now. Staying long in the market, high conviction bets. I have a couple of high conviction bets in Ethereum and, some other alts that I've spoken about before. Again, if you want to know more information, you want to have more, hour to hour analysis, you could join our Discord here. I post, private analysis, private, videos, my trades, my thoughts. Again, it's not investment advice. All that is in the Discord. And you can just find me on Twitter if you want, 0xAmol. And if you have any questions, shoot me a ping. All right. Cheers, everybody. Take care.